Tensions are rising with Iran and looking more and more like the only thing the U.S. wants is war. The Iranians have said they want to make a deal, but the U.S. is saying they're not interested. All of this as the increasing sanctions on Iran threaten to kill thousands of civilians. We're going to go over all of that right now. Let's start off with the tit for tat that is going on between the two nations. Now, the USS Boxer shot down an Iranian drone, saying that it was threatening its boundaries. This is from the Wall Street Journal. Here is what Trump had to say about it. Mr. Trump said the USS Boxer, an amphibious assault ship, took defensive action against the drone, which he said was threatening safety of the ship and the ship's crew. The drone was immediately destroyed, Mr. Trump said in comments from the White House. He called the approach by the drone the latest of many provocative and hostile actions by Iran against vessels operating in international waters. So let's break this down for just a second here. So they're saying that this was the latest of many provocative and hostile actions by Iran, yet this was, the USS Boxer is an amphibious assault ship that, yes, was in international waters, but international waters that are 6,000 miles away from the United States, all the way right on to the coast of Iran. So we have an amphibious assault ship hovering off the coast of Iran. The Iranians see this and think, let's go send a drone out there to see what it's doing. And this amphibious assault ship shoots down the drone, and yet Iran is the hostile actor. I don't know who's buying that. I mean, if they sent an amphibious assault ship off of our coast, you can believe us that we would be sending drones out, probably doing way more than sending a drone out to their amphibious assault ship, that's for sure. Goes on to say here, a Defense Department official confirmed that the drone came too close to the USS Boxer and was shot down. The official said the ship was in international waters when the encounter happened. The encounter Thursday came after Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps said it had seized a tanker, ratcheting up fears that Tehran could further disrupt shipping traffic on a vital waterway for crude. So here was the other tit for tat. A couple of weeks ago, the British actually seized an Iranian oil tanker, the Grace 1, that was making its way most likely to Syria to drop off oil, although the Iranians won't confirm that. They're not really confirming or denying. They're just saying it's actually none of your business where our oil tanker was headed. It's none of your business. Just give us back our oil tanker. Now, the British say that they seized it because it was off the coast of Gibraltar and it was making its way to Syria to deliver oil, and they have sanctions against Syria for getting oil. Although Iran has no sanctions against Syria, the EU has the sanctions. Iran is not a member of the EU last time I checked, but nonetheless, the British felt like they could seize this tanker that was potentially on its way to deliver oil to Syria. Syria is an ally of Iran. So this other ship that Iran confiscated, now it was a little bit strange. At first they took the vessel. It's a small ship. It doesn't carry barrels and millions of barrels of oil. It's fairly small. And the Iranians at first really weren't saying whether or not they had seized the vessel. Then they came out and said yes, that they had helped the vessel, that the vessel was actually in distress and that they were answering a distress call. But now they've come out and said, no, actually we did take this vessel, but the reason why we seized it was because it was smuggling oil off of our coast and it was going to sell it somewhere. It was like a pirate ship. Now, interestingly, an Israel-based company kind of confirmed this. This was also in the Wall Street Journal. It says, over the last year, the Raya, which was the name of the vessel, has transferred its cargo to vessels that made frequent trips to Yemen and Somalia, according to Windward, an Israel-based shipping analytics firm. The ship switched off its radio signal for 27 days over the past year, an indication it may have wanted to obscure its activities, according to Israeli shipping analytics company Windward. Now, what's interesting about that is that Israel and Iran are not friends at all. In fact, Israel is likely the ones that are going to be engaging Iran and starting a war. Yet this is an Israeli company that said, yeah, actually this ship was kind of up to no good. It looks like it was up to no good considering it was doing these things. So perhaps Iran had a reason to confiscate this ship, to seize this ship. Now, the Iranians say, look, this is something we do all the time. If we suspect a ship of pirating and smuggling, we then seize it. We go in and we investigate. That is something that we do on a regular basis. It's protocol. The United States does this as well off of our coast. If we suspect a ship is smuggling something that it's not supposed to be smuggling, then yeah, you could imagine that Coast Guard and DEA go and they actually board the ship and seize it and do what they need to do to investigate. So that is the latest with the tit for tat. Now, the Iranians have come out and they're saying that they're interested in sort of redoing the nuclear deal in order to lift the sanctions on Iran permanently. So what they're offering is they're saying that they will allow for investigators and inspectors to come into Iran at a much greater level than they were before under the previous deal, and really inspect and ensure that they're not building a bomb, that they'll allow a ramped up version of inspections in exchange for the United States lifting the sanctions. Iran is saying, look, if you really don't want war with us, then you need to put your money where your mouth is. We will give you a lot of different ways of knowing for sure that we are not building a nuke. And in exchange, you have to lift the sanctions. You guys are saying you're worried about weapons of mass destruction. We're going to prove to you we don't have weapons of mass destruction. And in exchange, you have to lift these sanctions because that's what you're saying you're worried about. Now, the United States has come back and said, you know what? Yeah, we want that, but we also want more. We don't want just to know for sure that there are no weapons of mass destruction in Iran. We also want a whole host of things. They've listed 12 things to Iran, many of which have nothing to do with building a nuke. For example, they want the Iranians to stop supporting their allies abroad. They no longer want the Iranians to help the Syrians or Yemen or Lebanon. They want Iran to cut off all of its activities with its allies, which have nothing to do with building a weapon of mass destruction. So the Iranians are saying, look, if you really truly are concerned about the weapons of mass destruction, then we will do everything we can to show you that we're not building one. In exchange, you have to lift these sanctions. So let's talk about these economic sanctions on Iran. Why would they be willing to do this? Well, because economic sanctions kill. They kill more people than actual bombs. The reason why economic sanctions are popular, which they became popular in the 90s, and they've continued to be popular, governments to use them on other governments in order to kind of get them to do what they want. The reason why they're popular is because they're easier for the average person to stomach. You don't end up seeing the string of dead bodies from a bomb. Instead, there is a massive death toll, but you don't really ever have to deal with it. So it makes you feel warm and fuzzy on the inside. We're not bombing them. How bad can it be? Well, I'll tell you how bad it can be. The reason why economic sanctions are so deadly is because they target civilians. They do not target military.